We're just about 2 weeks away from the 2023 NFL Draft, so it is time for the SteelTwins to give our fifth Pittsburgh Steelers 2023 NFL mock draft. So with the first selection for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 17th overall pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Broderick Jones, offensive tackle out of Georgia. This man has all the makings to be a true franchise left tackle for the Steelers.
Which the Steelers still clearly need to draft and finalize and just select to have for the long term, because we know Dan Moore is not it, and the Steelers are not
opposed to really moving on from Dan Moore, as they did try to acquire Orlando Brown Jr. in free agency. So that didn't happen.
They're clearly trying to replace Dan Moore. If they have to run with him, they will, but we still all agree, at least the two of us here, we agree that tackle should still be the pick at 17. It is still the safest and undoubtedly the smartest pick still at 17. I know the Steelers have other needs and players they can select at 17, but tackle is still the smartest one. And if any of the top three left tackles are still there, the Steelers need to strike. Most likely, Broderick Jones. I mean, Paris Johnson's the biggest pipe dream for us personally. He's probably going to go top 10. Broderick Jones is still a long shot at 17, but if he's there, man, I'm running to the podium. The guy has everything to be a 10-plus year starter in the NFL. He just has the making. He has the size. He has the ability. He has what the Steelers are looking for in an offensive tackle, in an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
You can see by the guys they brought in via pre-draft visits and who they brought in via free agency and just Andy Weiler's track record of what he likes. The guy fits the bill. So we are still sold on tackle being the pick at 17. And if Jones is there, it is an absolute no-brainer. It could still be a dream to a lot of us, but we're still going to select Jones here. Now, you guys can check by the title. We do have a trade back scenario because I do think it is very likely, because the Steelers do have a lot of needs to address, and they're not going to fix them all in the draft. They're not. We can all hope and wish that'd be a great thing, but it's highly unlikely. But acquiring picks could be a good thing for the Steelers, because they still need to fill depth. They need to fill other positions, and they just need extra picks, especially between that 4th round pick and that 7th round pick. Now, in our trade back scenario, we do not acquire any extra mid-round picks, but more so we gain an extra day 2 pick. The Steelers trade the 32nd pick. Now, why do they do that? Because the Steelers have a lot of power with that pick. It is a luxury pick. They could go need, they could go best player available, or you know damn well there's going to be a lot of first-round talent that's going to drop out of the first round. And having the first pick of day 2, there's going to be so many hungry teams that are going to be calling Con and company, be like, hey, what do you want for this pick? This guy dropped out. What do you want? I'm willing to give you this and that for it. Well, to acquire the 32nd pick, you know, the Steelers aren't just going to give it to anybody. They're going to want some pretty decent capital back, including an extra day 2 pick, but also not trading back too far from the 32nd pick. So, there's a couple teams that we looked at that have that ability, that have the capital to trade up for. And one of the teams we keep looking at, and we did a scenario similar to the one we did a couple of weeks ago, the Seahawks. Mostly because they do have the capital to do so, but also their front office just loves to trade. They love to trade picks, and it's a good relationship there. So the Steelers trade the 32nd pick, the 234th pick, one of their 7th rounders, and Kevin Dotson. We keep bringing it up because, again, he's just expendable. He has no role on this team, and the starting experience he has some trade value.
And we also add a 2024 5th-round pick to sweeten the deal in order for the Seahawks to trade away the 37th overall pick, the 52nd overall pick, and the 237th overall pick.
So pretty much they swap 7th-round picks, but in addition, Seattle gets a starting guard, and we get an extra day 2 pick while only falling down 5 selections. Now, again, the reason for this is if a team wants to get that first pick of day 2, because a lot of first-round talent's going to drop out, they're going to have to give up some capital. Seattle's one of the few teams that can do it. But we don't know if the Steelers do trade down. We don't know if they even make any trade in general. But I'm not going to completely erase it from the possibility.
No, of course not. And you can't. And with the 37th overall pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Jack Campbell, inside linebacker out of Iowa. They went to Iowa's Pro Day, to which is something that they rarely do.
Yeah, it's not something they put on their calendar for every year. They don't look at Ohio State's Pro Day. They don't look at Bama's Pro Day and all these other Pro Days and like, okay, let's make sure we get Iowa's on there. This time they had to. This year they had to for an obvious reason. And that obvious reason could have been Lucas Van Ness, but undoubtedly is Jack Campbell. and no pun intended here, maybe pun fully intended, he's a jack of all trades. Okay, he is just a stud of a linebacker. He speaks Steeler. He looks like one. He plays like one. He's a lot of old school with still a lot of new school at the same time, man. The guy is he's like a Luke Kuechly mix of a Brian Urlacher light, I suppose. He's actually been working with Luke Kuechly throughout the entire draft season, the entire draft process, I suppose, which is something you want to hear, man. The guy's just one of the best linebackers in this class. And there were athletic concerns heading into the combine and the pro day, and he immediately shut them up, myself included. Yeah. The guy is athletic. The guy can play. The guy is very smart. He's good in zone coverage. He's definitely a run stuffer. He can get to the quarterback. Again, a jack all trades.
And he's a very big body at the inside linebacker position, to which nowadays in the NFL is pretty rare.
Yes, and we need a big body, man. I think we're all done with the Steelers just trying out these midgets at linebacker where they're undersized and they're not really meant for their position. They're not built for their position. We know it's a new age, but you still need that size factor, that linebacker build, and that's what Jack Campbell absolutely brings, man. He brings everything that we have lacked at the linebacker position for so long now. And we fix all that in one guy with Campbell. He'd pair very nicely next to Holcomb and Roberts in rotation. It'd be fun, man. I think it absolutely just boost up the linebacker position even more than it already has.
And the linebacker position for sure needs to be addressed. And we addressed it in free agency for sure, but we don't have a coverage linebacker. This guy has the upside to be that coverage linebacker.
Not just that, but we need someone with complete upside on everything at linebacker. We need a full package. This guy holds that, man.
That's true.
Jack Campbell is a stud. He is going to be one of the best linebackers out of this draft class. And at 37, man, hey, we need linebacker. He already wears black and gold. He's got the Jack name. Why not? Why not, man?
It's a perfect match. It's a match made in heaven, literally.
Exactly. Now, with the next pick, the 49th pick, the Steelers select Julius Brent, defensive back out of Kansas State. We finally go corner here, and we do wait a little bit. We wait to the third pick in the mock because corner is stacked, and they can wait if they want to. Now, they have Levi Wallace. They have Pat Pete. They can still start outside. But you still need that number one guy for the future that will obviously be groomed under Peterson for a year or two. But Brent's, man, he's just like the Tariq Woolen of this year. Maybe not as fast, but definitely as athletic. He's big. He's a 6'3", 200. I mean, the guy he has a big build for his position. He brings the size. He brings the aggression, the sticky ability, the ball hawk ability. He's great as a tackler. He's a willing tackler. And the Steelers met with him as a pre-draft visit. So the interest is there. And you got to think that someone of his size and his magnitude is definitely an intriguing factor of his game.
Yeah. Yeah, Brent is a guy the Steelers are for sure going to keep an eye on, a guy of full upside of number one corner potential in the second round. I would love this guy to be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
And truly one of those names that in a stacked cornerback draft class is just, he's underneath all of them, man.
But he's, at the same time, he's risen his stock.
He has a bit. And speaking of one guy that has as well, man, we double dip at corner. 2 straight picks we go corner. With the extra pick we got from Seattle, the 52nd overall pick. We already got Brent, right? We got that guy outside with the great size. With the 52nd pick, the Steelers select Clark Phillips, defensive back out of Utah. We double dip at corner, and we do it within 3 picks apart from each other. So we get the size and Brent, and we get the slot ability and that versatility that we now lack because we lost Sutton and Clark Phillips. This guy is literally Mike Hilton and Cam Sutton packaged as one guy. He is the next Mike Hilton as a slot corner, but brings that versatility that we lack now because we lost Sutton.
Exactly. Now, for his size, he's 5'9", but he has starting experience as an outside corner from Utah.
Now, obviously, in the
NFL level, he's going to have to work as a slot guy, but right now the Steelers don't really have a prime or a true slot cornerback.
No,
we had in Hilton, but we let him walk, unfortunately.
And ever since then, I mean, it's just been fill-ins like Millette and some, maybe Casey and them like that, right? Edmonds, of course, when he was a safety, but we don't have a pure slot corner. We don't have that lockdown guy like we had with Hilton. And the guy brings everything that Hilton pretty much holds. That blitz ability, stickiness. He's definitely a ball hawk as well. Great ball skills. Great playmaking ability is what this guy holds, man. So
now, going cornerback for 2 straight picks is something that is not very Steeler-esque, and it's something that's at the same time not out the realm of possibility, especially with a very stacked corner group in this draft class.
But corner, as of now, when you look at our position, our depth chart, it still lacks. Yeah, we got Patrick Peterson. We got Levi Wallace. We resigned James Pierre. We got Akello Witherspoon. We got Arthur Millette, right? The depth isn't really there. And now Witherspoon has that starting experience where he can come in and relief. So does James Pierre. I mean, Millette's always been a guy the Steelers like, but we still need guys that can be here for the long term in terms of not only depth, but success in the secondary.
Exactly.
We need long-term guys at cornerback. We got Patrick Peterson to fill in for a year or two. Levi Wallace is coming into a contract here. We're going to need someone to potentially replace but still develop under him at the same time, along with Pat Pete.
And you need a true prime slot cornerback for the Steelers.
That can do it all. That can do everything that Mike Hilton had, right? That we now lost. We lost Hilton and his playmaking ability and his blitz ability as a slot weapon, and we lost the versatility in losing Sutton.
So we gain it back by double dipping at cornerback.
Yes.
And the potential that these two have, they could really be the future of the secondary for the Steelers.
Absolutely. And these are two guys the Steelers are very high on. They brought in Brent for a top 30 visit. And Phillips, man, he just feels like a Steeler, you know? He plays like one.
Yeah.
He just fits perfectly. Like he would fit in our scheme tremendously, man. Now at the 80th pick, the 3rd round pick, man, the Steelers select Jordan Battle, defensive back out of Alabama. I know we went 3 straight defensive backs here. Is that a little unrealistic? Probably. Do I really see it happening? No. I'd be shocked if they go 3 straight defensive back picks. But with the extra picks we get from Seattle and just the need that we have in the secondary now is concerning. Okay, we don't have a long-term fill-in opposite of Minka. We have Casey. We have Keanu Neal, right? They're not really true starters. They're just more so fill-ins, depth guys to come in for playing the box or playing in the slot, guys like that, right? We still need someone long-term alongside Minka. But more importantly, not only with Brent, not only with Phillips, not only with Battle, we need to solidify this secondary for many years to come. Okay, it's a passing league now. We're playing in not only a league, but a conference, a division that is very pass-heavy, that is full of some of the more crazy passing offenses.
And the most talented receivers that they have for their teams.
Exactly. So we need to solidify the secondary, and one of the better ways to do that, build it via rookie contracts with studs at their positions. Guys like Brent, Phillips, and Battle. Battle is great. You know, everyone's looking at Brian Branch as the next great Bama DB in the NFL, right? Don't sleep on Jordan Battle.
No.
The guy can play anywhere.
And
box, slot, deep.
And the guy speaks versatility. He has that versatility factor to which the Steelers like, obviously, in their secondary at safety. That's what Edmonds brought to the picture as a box safety, as a slot guy here and there. But Battle brings just as much, if not better, and even more playmaking ability at that safety position.
The guy plays physical. The guy plays strong. The guy plays like a Steeler. He looks like a Bama DB. Let's be honest.
So I would honestly consider him one of the more pure safeties in this draft class.
Yeah.
And that's just me.
Yeah, you're right.
But I'm a big fan of Jordan Battle. I think he has all the makings to be an all-out great safety in the NFL. Him being a Pittsburgh Steeler to play alongside Minka is a dream.
Yep. But just to solidify the secondary for years to come. I know we have, when Watt is healthy, we have the pass rush. We have most of the guys in the interior defensive line for now.
The front 7.
You know, build up linebacker like they have in the like they have in free agency. They will continue to do so in the draft. You need to solidify the secondary. The way to do that is via guys on the rookie contracts. This is one of the better years for the Steelers to do that. In the passing league, you need to strike with the secondary. You need to just build the future. And having a guy like Pat Pete, it's perfect for a mentor role. He's such a smart leader. He's such a smart guy. He's a future Hall of Famer. What a better way to build the secondary under him and just building the secondary in general through the draft.
Yeah.
So trading back would allow that. I know we could have taken like defensive tackle or maybe a receiver here or potentially an edge guy here, but really, man, you know, we really need to solidify the secondary. We lost guys for the past couple years now. Hilton, Sutton, Edmonds recently, right?
Yeah.
We need to solidify the secondary. So we go 3 straight DB picks here.
And I know defensive back, when it comes to the Steelers in recent memory, isn't really their best selection.
Yeah, they don't have a rich history, but I'm not concerned with that no more.
No, because you look at recently with Grady Brown, our secondary coach, and Terrell Austin, who was our defensive backs coach, now defensive coordinator, the secondary has been playing lights out. They've been playing better. They've been more turnover heavy. They've been playing more dynamic.
And the progression of most of these guys has been great.
So going secondary here 3 straight times is, one, not out the realm of possibility, and two, something that I don't think any of us should really be worried about.
No. I'm not worried about any of the development or the track record. Oh, Tomlin can't draft corners or safeties. I trust our coaching staff. I trust other guys to develop them. That's what I trust.
Yeah.
I trust the recent history. So we need to just build and solidify a secondary for years to come, while not only Kenny is still in a rookie contract, but while this team is still young and while we still got prime guys to surround him around. So, but moving into the 4th round, we transition back to offense. And one position I can see the Steelers taking early for depth reasons, but also to add a little more firepower, but also help in the return game, is receiver. It's just it's still, like, let's be honest.
Yeah, and with the 120th pick in the 4th round, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Jaden Reed, wide receiver out of Michigan State. This is a man that his name has been rising amongst draft boards throughout the entire draft process, and a man that has a lot of potential as not only a return specialist, but a receiver at the same time.
More specifically, a slot receiver. We have our outside guys. We got Pickens. We got Deontay. We don't have a pure slot weapon. I know everyone's hopeful on Calvin Austin, but he's essentially coming into a rookie year. So, same thing with a receiver we draft. We still got to pump the brakes and see how these guys are. But we still need to add extra firepower. We need depth, and we need extra guys in that receiving room.
Yeah.
Especially for Kenny, especially for the receiving room, and definitely for the return game. Our return game is still sus. We got Gunner back there, and for now he has his job. They're probably going to try Calvin Austin back there, but more competition would do wonders, man.
It would, as well as more depth at wide receiver, because we did lose Steven Sims in free agency. He went to the Texans. Miles Boykin hasn't been re-signed yet. So right now, all we're looking at is the top 3 receivers, and Johnson, Pickens, and Austin, as well as Gunnar Olszewski for the most part.
And not only would he bring that to the team, and that's where he'd get his feet wet most definitely, but as a slot option, he has the speed, he has the size, he has the hands ability, the yak ability. He's hard to bring down. His route running is very impressive for him. So I like this guy, man. And I seen what he did against more so stronger and higher named DBs, especially against the higher schools like Ohio State last year. He did very well. He impressed a lot. So is he a riser in the draft? Yes. But can we get him in the 4th? I think so. Mm-hmm. I think there's someone the Steelers are going to be eyeing on, because he's a typical Steelers pick. He's a receiver. He's got the return ability where he can get his feet wet, and he'll start out in the slot and be a nice dynamic weapon for the offense.
And with his return ability, he actually has great success in it, as in his college career, he actually returned 3 punt returns for a touchdown.
Yep. So he has a lot of good stuff in his resume to just pretty much give you a lot of green checks on his name. So good on him. Now we move on to the 7th round. We don't have a pick between the
5th and the 6th rounds.
Unfortunately, that's why a potential trade back is more likely for getting that to fill that gap. But in this factor, we're going to pretty much stay with the fact we don't have any picks in between that, and we're going to keep the 2 7th rounders. And with the first one, the 237th pick, we get via Seattle. The Steelers select P.J. Mustipher, defensive lineman out of Penn State. Again, I hate waiting on defensive line. And the fact that we have to select safety now really might have to force that, and might have to force a position like D tackle and a position like edge. They might have to wait on that because now safety is a need.
Yeah.
It sucks, and we have to push it back again to the 7th round for a second straight mock. But the more I think about it, they brought back Larry Ogunjobi. He's back for at least another 2-3 years.
Yeah.
You still got DeMarvin Leal, he can be filled in as an interior defensive lineman. He put D tackle, he put beside Hayward. They're still trying to figure out his pure role. They drafted him in the 3rd round, so they're definitely gonna have some high praise on him. Try to get him more involved in his second year. They brought in Braden Fioku, who's a pure run stopper and has nothing but positive wherever he's gone. So he's going to get a tremendous opportunity. I think the Steelers like him enough to try that. They still have Montravius Adams, who started last year. Steelers like him enough. So even though D tackle is still a need, and I'm talking a pure D tackle, like a Casey Hampton run stuffer, right? They don't really have that exactly, but they have names and depth on the line.
Not only that, the rotations they like to do with defensive tackle, they could rotate Ogunjobi from D tackle to DN a few times, or the same thing with Leal. They have that flexibility, they have that option. It's something that they've always adored. They like to do. They even done it with Cameron Hayward how many times throughout his tenure with the Steelers.
Right. So they have names that they could just fill in for that gap for now. and they might have to wait on defensive tackle. But you still got to bring in depth. You still got to bring in camp bodies and see what these guys can do, see what they can bring to the table. You got to bring numbers. You never have too many good defensive linemen. This guy is a pure run stuffer. And, of course, Steelers have a lot of interest coming out of the Penn State school this year. You know, a lot of crazy names coming out of that school for tight end, for defensive back for them. But a guy like defensive lineman here could be someone that they snag just to add as depth, as a camp body, just to see what he can bring to the table.
And finally, guys, with the last selection for the Steelers, the 241st pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Clayton Tune, quarterback out of Houston.
The Steelers still don't have a third-string quarterback, which is unlike the Steelers coming into the draft. You know the Steelers love to have at least 3 or 4 quarterbacks heading into training camp, and they, as of now, only have 2 under contract, which is the obvious. They're still going to need extra bodies. I feel like the 7th round is a perfect spot to not only gain those bodies, but potentially get someone that could be the backup to Pickett down the road. And a guy like Clayton Tune is a late sleeper. He's going to be a very good backup in the league, man. He's mobile. He's not afraid to get physical and put his body on the line. He's a competitor. He just likes to play football.
And he brings leadership aspect at the same time. You know, he had very solid success at Houston with Nathaniel Dell, Tank Dell,
Yep.
who's a projected top pick in the NFL draft. So Clayton Tune would be a nice quarterback 3 at the moment, but potentially work his way as the backup to Kenny Pickett.
Yep. And another thing I like about this guy is his lack of turnovers. His touchdown interception ratio is a very good one, especially coming out of Houston. So he's got a lot of good stuff in his resume to the Steelers to throw a late round flyer just to bring in for the number 3 spot for depth purposes. But I'd like to see this guy grow to be the backup to Kenny down the road. And I think that's what the Steelers are looking for in a quarterback this year. And a guy like Tune is one of the few guys that checks those marks for them. So we go Clayton Tune here to end the mock. Otherwise, that would do it for our 5th mock draft for the Pittsburgh Steelers 2023 NFL draft season. I'm not entirely sure if this is going to be our 2nd to last mock or our 3rd to last mock, but all I can say is follow us on Twitter at SteelTwins and check out the community tab for updates on that. Otherwise, we'll be back with another mock draft shortly, as draft season and the NFL draft is just 2 short weeks away. It is right around the corner. It is almost here before we find out who the next Pittsburgh Steeler is. So let us know your guys' thoughts about this mock, and let us know your guys' mocks down below. Otherwise, see you in the next one. Here we go, Steelers.
And like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!